Now, to political commentator Jorotich Sei, joining us live here on News Desk. Many thanks for your time, Jorotich. Let's begin with your thoughts on the infamous Super Tuesday that endorsed overwhelmingly the BBI pushing it to the next level.
Thank you very much, Michelle, and good afternoon. Actually, I think it was perfectly in order for the celebrations that took place yesterday. And what it showed me was ultimately that the passing of the Constitution Amendment Bill 2020 was less about the people of Kenya and more about political camps fighting one another. And this is one of the things that we have maintained, that if BBI was really truly about the people, we wouldn't have had a BBI, because we would have had a political class that would have been committed solely to ending impunity and promoting obedience to the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So yesterday was perfectly in order. I saw all the celebrations and the victory laps. To the extent that it was a Pyrrhic victory is yet to be seen. But yes, it's not as surprising, because this is a political battle. It's a political battle between two powers, the Kieleweke Jubilee pro-BBI group, and of course those perceived to be anti-BBI, which is apparently the Tanga Tanga group, although I'm yet to hear the Deputy President pronounce himself on the matter of BBI in terms of his support for or his opposition to.
All right, and of course you recently, we saw you sharing a picture with the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, that leading to speculation that you may just have ditched the Linda Katiba movement. Your thoughts, I mean, what's your response to that?
Well, this is a major challenge to the Fourth Estate, actually, because what I see is actually the expansion and extension of fake news. I did indeed meet with Right Honorable Raila Odinga, as is my right, and enshrined and protected by the Constitution of Kenya in terms of freedom of association. And so, yes, I did meet with him, and we had very good conversations on matters to do with energy justice. You know, I run the Switch Off KPLC campaign. We spoke about issues of the diaspora vote. We spoke about accountability, impunity. We shared views about the BBI process. We even spoke about Linda Katiba. And so, yes, we did meet and we did have a conversation. But what you see, Michelle, is those who would have the public believe something else. And perhaps it is because people are so traumatized and people are so used to being betrayed that the minute you see somebody meeting with somebody, you want to assume the worst. And so I do not blame the bloggers and the purveyors of fake news, because that is how they earn a living when they come out and say all kinds of things about what I have been doing with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. But we did indeed meet, and he is indeed a pleasant gentleman. It has by no means affected or impacted my position on BBI and my position as a member of Linda Katiba. Linda Katiba, as a group, as a collective of Kenyan patriots, we are alive, we are well, we are strong, and we haven't changed course, not by 1 degree.
And with the BBI push now surpassing the 24-county threshold and moving it to the next stage, looks like reggae may just go all the way. Where does that leave the Linda Katiba movement, and what's next for you?
Well, for the Linda Katiba team, it was never about whether the county assemblies passed the Amendment Bill 2020 or not, because our position has been steadfast from the beginning. We do not need BBI. This is not a constitutional moment. What we need is respect for and obedience to the Constitution of Kenya. So it is not surprising to us as a group that the counties would pass it, because, as I've always said, this is a political process as opposed to a civic education public participation process. And in fact, the alacrity, the speed with which the 39 county assemblies have passed the bill just only goes to show that a lot of these things are a sham, where civic education and public participation is a little box to be ticked. But Michelle, if you recall, we are currently in court, and conservatory orders were issued regarding the IEBC, or preventing or prohibiting the IEBC from proceeding with its preparations for the referendum until the matter is heard. We are going to have a hearing in March, and we're looking at issues including the basic structure of the Constitution and what constitutes mild amendments and what constitutes an actual entire repeal or mutilation of the current Constitution. So as Linda Katiba, we are awaiting the judicial process. We are glad that we have a 5-judge bench, and we will see what happens, because that will determine whether, despite the approval by the county assemblies of the BBI bill and the proceedings that are currently taking place in the Houses of Parliament, we're still yet to see what the judiciary says. And one of the things that Linda Katiba is doing is fighting to protect the independence of the judiciary. So we are still a long way from that space where we say the referendum will be held. And Michelle, finally, even if we got to the stage that the referendum were to be held, one of the fundamental questions that we ask as the Linda Katiba team is what happens with electoral injustice, which we see is a flashpoint for tension, for violence, for numerous election cycles. And so even if we were to say no and go and vote, how sure are we that our votes will count? Because we already understand and see that the powers that be, the political class, is determined to see us through to this referendum where the yeses are apparently going to have it, and we shall see a complete mutilation and destruction of the Constitution of Kenya. So we stay steadfast. We are not swayed or cowed by abuses or intimidation or the fact that we are not so many in number. But thousands upon thousands have expressed an interest and a desire to protect and defend the Constitution of Kenya.
Right. You alluded to the Deputy President's stand earlier on. He seems to be sitting on the fence on the BBI issue. What are your thoughts on the DP openly criticizing parts of BBI but not really taking a firm stand on the same?
Look, Michelle, this is politics. I do not hold brief at all for the Deputy President, despite every attempt to try and push the Linda Katiba team into the arms of the Deputy President. No, I think it is politics, and it is his right to sit on the fence, to criticize, to come. It's all politics, because at the end of the day, the political class that has been responsible for the looting, the plundering, the mismanagement, the undermanagement, the rolling back of our rights over the years, will all stand to gain from a mutilated constitution, bar none. So until I see that political leader who stands up and says that we will not support and permit the mutilation of the Constitution of Kenya, and be very categorical and come clearly in the open about it, I will continue to just believe that the entire political class is hedging its bets, supporting, not supporting, sitting on the fence, ultimately hoping that one or the other will land on top, and that impunity can continue to be the way in which this government and this country is ruled.
Finally, perhaps, what are your expectations as the BBI process as well progresses to the next stage, now being before Parliament, with legal minds, however, say that Parliament's role really does not count in this situation because the bill may just end up in the referendum despite what Parliament decides. What are your expectations in the country in coming days?
Look, Parliament will not be the final deciding factor because there are protected provisions in the Constitution that are being touched by this BBI amendment bill, whether we're talking about independence of the judiciary, devolution, Bill of Rights, principles of government, and so on and so forth. So ultimately, this entire process will have to be subjected to a referendum. And as an active citizen, as a patriot, as a member of Linda Katiba, our expectation is that we continue the dialogue and engagement and discussion with Kenyan patriots of like mind who want to continue to open the eyes of other Kenyans and say, at the end of the day, whether your MCA passed the bill or not, you still have challenges. You still have school fees to pay. You have hospital bills to pay. You have challenges with rent. Our economy is tanking. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And we want to keep reminding Kenyans that until we address some of the root causes, and specifically impunity, lack of accountability, and corruption, we will not be able to proceed no matter how many million BBIs are brought to the table. So we say, implement the Constitution of Kenya 2010 fully, end impunity, increase accountability, and make this about every woman, man, boy, and girl who is a citizen of the Republic of Kenya.
Many thanks for your time here on News Desk. That is Jerotich Say. She is a political commentator, also affiliated with the Linda Katiba Initiative. Many thanks for your time. Now, immediate former Chief Justice David